Hello and welcome back to the Wrestling Group on YouTube. Today we have a rankings video. It's going to be the top 5 Money in the Bank cash-ins. Money in the Bank pay-per-view is tomorrow and it's going to be in the UK, so we're very stoked about watching a pay-per-view at 8 o'clock instead of 1 o'clock in the morning. But no, the card looks alright, it looks decent. It's not as good as what it could be, but it's not as bad as what we have seen them in the past. I'm just going to run through top 5 cash-ins. So obviously 5 down to 1 being the best cash-in of the Money in the Bank of all time. Obviously it's been around for a long time now. We're coming up on nearly 20 years. I think the first Money in the Bank was about 2005, with the first cash-in in 2006. So we're 2023 now. So it has been around for a long time, and there's been a hell of a lot of cash-ins, some not so successful, but obviously a lot have led to people becoming big stars, and then we've had obviously big stars winning with John Cena, Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton, the likes of them. So anyway, it's no telling who's gonna win, and there's no telling when they will cash in the Money in the Bank contract. We've had it cashed in at WrestleMania. We've had it held near enough a year. We've had it cashed in within an hour. So it's one of them exciting things, isn't it? In WWE, there's not very many things left that draw you, in regards to excitement, and I think Money in the Bank is definitely still one that draws that excitement level for a lot of people. It's like the Royal Rumble, isn't it? These things that basically that the unexpected could happen. You normally have a favourite in the match, but there's always that chance that an underdog could just win the match and an opportunity for a championship. Anyway, so we'll go into it with number 5. So I've gone for Kane. Kane winning the Money in the Bank in 2010, I believe, and he cashed in on the same night. He was the first person to actually cash in on the same night that he won the briefcase, which was Money in the Bank pay-per-view in 2010. In fact, he cashed in within an hour of winning it, so it was quite a surprise at first, I think, because he just strolled down with the briefcase, didn't he? Rey Mysterio was the champion at the time, and he just defended against Jack Swagger. As Kane strolls down with the briefcase in hand, and I think it was more people thinking that it's just like an intimidation type thing, where he's going to be like, don't forget, I'm coming for you, sort of thing. No, just hands it over, cashes straight in, chokeslam, tombstone, becomes champion. And it's not just for me with this one. It's not just the fact that he cashed in on the same night for the first time. Like, it was a shock that he did do it straight away. I think it's also because it kicked off one of my favourite runs for Kane. I've always been a Kane fan. I do really rate Kane, but I feel like he's always played second fiddle, obviously, to the Undertaker, and he's never really done his own thing. And for a big dude, for someone who's been around forever, he's not really had a lot of successful runs, shall we say. It was all more about putting over the Undertaker. So in 2010, obviously when he wins the World Championship after cashing in the Money in the Bank, he then goes on a run as World Champ that I enjoy going back and rewatching. He actually gets some wins over the Undertaker to defend the belts, which I was absolutely made up with, because he was always putting over Undertaker. When it was Undertaker and Kane, everyone expected Undertaker to win, and I think they did with this reign as well. But obviously it didn't happen. Kane beat Undertaker more than once, which is mad to think that I didn't actually watch this at the time that it was out, because this is during the time I'd stopped watching wrestling, just completely stopped watching it for about 2 years maybe, and this was during that time. But I've gone back and rewatched this title reign a good few times, and I've seen the cash in a few times. Obviously, you just go onto YouTube and just put Money in the Bank cash ins, and most of them just play through in about a half-hour video. So yeah, number 5, Kane cashes in on Rey Mysterio. Money in the Bank 2010. Number 4 is my favourite women's cash-in. Bailey cashes in on Charlotte, Money in the Bank 2019. This is when they had Becky Lynch's Becky 2 belts when she won both belts at WrestleMania, and then at the pay-per-view she had to defend both belts separately. So she had first match was against Lacey Evans for the Raw Women's Championship, which she obviously retained, with Lacey not being that good. And then she faced Charlotte, and then surprise, surprise, Charlotte beats her for the SmackDown Women's Championship later on. And then after the match, Lacey and Charlotte then both beat down on Becky. To when Bailey comes out. So Bailey had obviously won the Money in the Bank that night, but she come down to save her friend. She come running down, but she put the briefcase anyway to help her save her friend. So obviously she fights off Lacey Evans, and as Charlotte goes for her, she moves out the way, smacks her head on the second turnbuckle, I think it was, knocks her clean out, and goes, hang on a minute, I've got this thing, haven't I? So I like the fact that they done it, the actual cash-in. I like the fact that they done it where it wasn't just someone running down with a briefcase like, oh, I'm going to cash in. Like, you know, she come down to save a friend, to help, obviously, Becky not get battered by two people. And so I like the fact that they done it that way, because it was a little bit different, because it was sort of like, well, I'm already here. She's already knocked. I might as well do this thing. Cashes in, jumps off her. I think she jumps on her with an elbow drop off the top rope, and takes the win and takes the championship. But it was good as well, because when Charlotte was knocked down, the fans were starting, so you could feel the rumble and the fans would go, and you're starting to like get into it. And then she started looking at the briefcase and then looking at Charlotte, and she's like, she's gonna do it. And then the fans actually started chanting yes, which is obviously what they used to do for Daniel Bryan. And you're like, yes, yes. And do you know what? It actually went that loud, and it was like, wow. And obviously she cashed in, and the place erupted when she won the belt. You know, she's been stuck with like crap for like 2 years, and then she finally gets this. And then again, it builds into another storyline where you know, is she going to be a heel? Is she going to be a face? I think she defends it. I'll have to go back and watch it, but I'm sure she defends it against Charlotte as well by smacking her head off the turnbuckle again. And then it was sort of like, yeah, but was that deliberate this time? You know what I mean? But yeah, Bailey is probably my favourite women's Money in the Bank cash-in. Just the reaction, and like say the way she comes down to do it, it's not like just straight away run down cash-in. So that, you know what I mean? It was done really well. So number 3, get these going quick, Andy. Number 3, Dean Ambrose cashes in on Seth Rollins. Again, another same night. So that's good, isn't it? 5, 4, and 3 are all cashed in on the same night, all the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. But Dean Ambrose cashed in on Seth Rollins into Money in the Bank 2016. This is when Seth had just pinned Roman Reigns for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, as it was at the time. And then Dean Ambrose music hits, smacks him in the back with the briefcase, hits him with the Dirty Deeds, takes the belt for a 1, 2, 3. Did that back and forth, hadn't he, for a bit. This was all the Shield, or former members of the Shield, all holding the belt in the one night. You know, Roman Reigns was the champion to begin with. Seth Rollins then had returned from injury and wanting to get the belt back. Beats Roman, and then keeps it for about 30 seconds before he gets dropped on his head, and Dean Ambrose becomes champ. And that's how Dean Ambrose won his only WWE championship in the company. You know, he only won one world championship, and this was it. But it was done so well, you know what I mean? When Seth Rollins had obviously left or turned on the Shield, and eventually he became the world champ, you know, they had a good string of matches where he thought Dean Ambrose was going to win, like the ladder match where, you know, they're both holding onto the belt at the very end, and then obviously the belt drops and Rollins manages to get it. So they had a good rivalry, and it was, and obviously Seth, obviously he cashed in and Money in the Bank to win his World Championship. So it was good the way they done it. Obviously they had all three members of the Shield holding the one championship in the same night. Then you know so then so obviously they had all three members hold the same belt in the one night. They had Seth Rollins, who had previously cashed in on a match that included Roman Reigns. Then Dean Ambrose cashes in on a match that obviously, well, after the match with Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns was obviously defeated for the belt. So it was good. There was so many different things at play, but it worked so well. And they finally give Dean that little push into the main event, which was enjoyable, especially with some of the storylines and feuds with AJ Styles. The less said about James Ellsworth, the better. But AJ, it was a good feud. So number 2 is the original Edge. Edge cashes in on John Cena, New Year's Revolution, 2006. So this was obviously after the Elimination Chamber. John Cena's bloody beat down. He just retained the WWE Championship in an Elimination Chamber, which is not an easy feat. And then, the chamber goes up and he's there, bloody battered. And the next thing is Edge and Vince McMahon appear, which was a bit mad. I'm saying, what the hell is this about? So obviously this was the original cash-in. This was the very, very first time that they'd done it. Obviously the first Money in the Bank winner. And it set the standard, didn't it? I mean, they could have easily just done it where he turned up one night on Raw and went, right, this is my role, I'm cashing on Money in the Bank tonight in the main event, I'm going to face for the title. But doing it this way then set the precedent, didn't it? And to be fair, it's a really good idea that you can cash in any time. I do like it like that, because there's a lot of people that have become champ that probably couldn't have become champ if they'd done it in a one-on-one match, depending obviously who they're against. So they done it really well. It was a shock, it was a surprise, and but it was enjoyable. It was like, holy hell, what's happened there? And then obviously he cashed in, so he comes down, John Cena gets up, Edge hits him with the spear, and it's like, right, okay, it's done with. And then John Cena doesn't die off one spear. And it was like, oh my god, they're gonna have John Cena like go through an elimination chamber and then absolutely go through and beat Edge afterwards as well. But anyway, 2 spears later, and Edge is the WWE champion for the first time in his career. But like I say, first one to do it, first time, and set the precedent for future Money in the Bank cash in. So it still is one of the best, but not the best. So quick run through, and then I'll give you the number 1. But I mean, everyone should know that this is number 1 anyway. So number 5, Kane cashes in on Rey Mysterio, Money in the Bank, 2010. Number 4, Bayley cashes in on Charlotte, Money in the Bank, 2019. Number 3, Dean Ambrose cashes in on Seth Rollins, Money in the Bank, 2016. And Edge cashes in on John Cena, New Year's Revolution, 2006. So number 1 can only be one thing, can't it? Seth Rollins cashes in on Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, WrestleMania 31 in the main event. Just like, you can't not have Seth Rollins as number 1. And if you don't have him as number 1, he's definitely going to be number 2. I mean, this was unbelievable. It was phenomenal, you know what I mean? Yeah, obviously Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. This was before we'd seen them face 562 times in WWE. And the match lasted longer than 5 minutes as well. It was actually a really good match. I remember watching it, and for the time, like, I'd completely forgot Seth Rollins was obviously the Money in the Bank briefcase winner, because you're involved in the match. Plus they also had, obviously, Seth Rollins get beat by Randy Orton early in the night, so it was like, are they really going to have him cash in when he can't even obviously win his match? Not for the world title. So anyway, goes on, and the match gets to the point where both Lesnar and Reigns are pretty beat down, and then Seth Rollins music hits. And you know what? How long was that ramp? I mean, I feel sorry for the guy. Like, it's his first time and the only time it's been cashed in at WrestleMania. But it's probably one of the biggest rampways that they've had at WrestleMania. And it just seemed like he was running for ages before he actually made it to the ring. It was like, it's like bloody hell. So anyway, obviously, goes, gets in the ring. It's main event at WrestleMania as well. Crowd goes nuts when he comes down. Cashes in the Money in the Bank, turns it into a triple threat. Curb stomps Brock Lesnar. And that's not enough. Brock's already starting to move. Goes to curb stomp him again. Brock lifts him up for like powerbomb. Roman Reigns spears him. Seth Rollins hits the curb stomp on Roman Reigns and gets the 1, 2, 3. Becomes champ. Rolls out the ring. Belts it back up that long ramp. And swings that title around his head. Absolutely. Seth Rollins is your new champ. In the main event at WrestleMania as well. I mean, like, everything about it was just perfect, wasn't it? You know what I mean? Like say, he'd lost earlier in the night, and then they had this main event, and it was actually really good. I remember it being a really good match. Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, compared to obviously some of the crap we've had recently. But it was a really good match, and the fans didn't really want Roman to walk away with the belts, but it looked like that was the only thing that was going to happen. Until obviously Seth Rollins comes down and what they call the heist of the century, which was good at the time, but you've heard that many times now. It's like, all right, okay. But yeah, Seth Rollins, it's got to be though, hasn't it? Seth Rollins number one. But yeah, like I say, the only ones cashing at WrestleMania, the way it was done, the fact it turned it into a triple threat match, and then it kicked off absolutely fantastic career for Seth Rollins as a main event guy, main event Seth Rollins. Everything about it for me was just perfect. I remember I watched it live, and a couple of mates around, and Lee was one of them, the admin from the group. And we'd done this whole thing between a few of the lads, and my wife, and we'd done like a betting thing, like a sweepstake thing, where everyone threw a few quid in, and everyone put, who they thought were going to win on the results. And I put on it as well, because I organised it. It was only a couple of quid in, but I organised it as well, and I put on it, do you think Seth Rollins cash in? But I'd done that on a couple of pay-per-views, so it wasn't like I actually thought it was going to happen. But I put yeah. Anyway, so as the sweepstake got to the main event, there was about 3 of us sharing this pot of money. I mean, it wasn't much, about 40 quid, something like that. But anyway, it turns out like there's about 3 or 4 of us that were supposed to be sharing this money at the end of the night, and all the results come in the same. And I think as well, the way it worked out, that it didn't matter who won the main event. I think that's where it went. So obviously someone was ahead and someone was behind, and like it didn't matter basically who won the main event. That the results all panned out, and that we were gonna basically share this pot, or there was at least going to be two out of the 4 were going to share it. Anyway, so the only thing that could change it was the Seth Rollins cash in. I was the only one that said he'd cash in, and yeah, so he cashed in, and I was buzzing. I remember fucking absolutely jumping, dancing around the living room. But I was excited anyway. I was pumped anyway, just the way they done it was so good. But also I was getting a couple of quid, wasn't I? A couple of cheeky quid. It was only about 40 quid, something like that. But I was buzzing, me dancing around the living room at like 4 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, Seth Rollins done me a solid there. But yeah, so there we have it, top 5 Money in the Bank cash-ins, and looking forward to watching Money in the Bank as a pay-per-view in the UK, in London. It's going to be an interesting one. My pick, no, it's got to be only one person, LA Knight. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm going for. LA Knight to win. Probably Logan Paul, and in that case, I will be done completely with WWE because I can't stand them. So as always, thank you for watching. Thanks to David Anderson for sorting me out with another fantastic thumbnail for YouTube. And as I say, keep an eye out for more wrestling related content coming soon. Enjoy Money in the Bank, and let me know in the comments what your top 5 Money in the Bank cash-ins are. And yeah, Keep an eye out for more wrestling related content coming soon.